The Trade is brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au.
Hi there, welcome to The Trade. Wonderful to be here with you on this Tuesday morning. Before we get to the charts, let's take a quick look at what traders are watching today. And when it comes to the United States, it is primarily the US dollar that markets are keeping their eye on. The US dollar falling to a 3-year low in the wake of the commentary coming from the Fed. The U.S. President Donald Trump about Fed Chair Jerome Powell needing to cut rates now, basically telling him to get with the program or face his wrath, so to speak. We've seen all main U.S. indices tumble. The NASDAQ was down the most, off by 2.6%. That's being expressed here with some selling in the tech sector. All S&P 500 sectors ended into the red and the dollar sliding. Crude oil also reflecting global growth concerns. Now, China is also warning countries against striking trade deals with the United States at its expense. Let's get into the technicals now. Peter McGuire from XM joins me now. Actually, trading.com, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Look, markets never sleep, do they?
They don't.
And so was it a busy weekend?
Yeah, it was. It really was. Lovely to see you, Nadine. It's nice to be in the studio again.
Yeah, it's good.
You know, I think over the last couple of weeks, it's been such a reality check for all traders across every asset class, from bond yields to VIX, certainly to precious. Have a look at industrial metals. They've created, copper's off the best part of 10%. And then you look at currencies. And I think if anyone said to you a month ago, the US dollar is going to be at 97, had a 97 handle yesterday, 97.7 or 8. And I just couldn't believe it. And you saw that big rally as far as gold yesterday, and it's continued overnight. And it's just wild. I don't think I've ever seen a time like it.
It is. And so the S&P 500 I mentioned, was deeply negative.
Yes.
All sectors in the red. I think only 30-something. Let me just double check that.
Out of the 500.
39 out of the 500 were
showed
higher.
A green light. Yeah. And that seems to be, I listened to Ray Dalio, the Bridgewater Capital. I mean, he's a hedge fund king. He's one of the top 5. And Ray says, breaking, as far as what's happening, his observations, it's breaking down the monetary order. And that really crystallises everything. And you've got so many different permutations or considerations what that means. Everyone's got a different interpretation of what it means. But when you get someone like that, a Wall Street titan or a hedge fund titan, that really, I think, gives everyone a bit of a snapshot. And when I say you haven't seen things like this before, the gold price, Nadine, has nearly doubled in value from October 2023 at 1,800. So that's probably what I'm shifting it towards.
Okay, so that was the S&P 500 on screen. Hopefully we can bring the gold chart up, because I'd like to get your view on how much further it could run. 3250
was the number, and I think that was where everyone was like a line in the sand. If it breaks 3250, then it's off to the races. Goldman's, I think they're at 4,500 now. Everyone's revising their upward targets. And I was in here in the studio, I think early December, and we spoke at that 2,800 level, and we said if it can get to that 3,000 is a psychological. If it breaks that in first quarter, then no one thought it would. And then 3,250, hold on to your hats, and that's very evident with the screen there. The overall demand as far as retail sector, in investment houses like our own and that globally, the appetite for gold outstrips everything else. And then you've got central bank buying, and then you look at the countries like India or the Middle East, or certainly China and Asia. Their appetite to gold has just been enormous.
It is pretty incredible.
And I don't think it's anywhere near its high.
Okay.
I truly don't, Nadine. I think if I listen to Ray Dalio, I listen to the titans, the likes of Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary. I think we're in very, very, very unusual times.
And that's being expressed in the US dollar with the falls there as well.
And look at silver. Silver's going to be that's the market that is out of whack with its big brother from a gold to silver ratio perspective, and everyone's saying it's got the capacity to be a lot higher than where it is at the moment. It's a paper market's probably keeping it underwater to some extent. There's been huge underinvestment across that whole complex over the last 30 plus years, and the other side is when it bounces, it's going to be very, very hot.
And not a lot of ways to gain access to silver on the Australian market either. So likely,
no. You've got to buy physical, or you've got to buy paper, and it's just been an enormous uptick.
So when it comes to the US dollar, where are those funds flowing now instead?
Well,
like is it yen? Is it euro?
I've got to say euro to some extent. It's at 115, nearly at 116. If you would have said that 2 months ago or 6 weeks ago, it's at 102. It's going to be at 115. You'd say, I think you need to lay down. It just you can't believe that velocity that what we've seen, and also you can't take your eye off the yen running now at 140. So both of those currencies, and there it is, the euro US dollar. It is just extraordinary, and probably there's every chance you might even see maybe a 117 handle for the euro. It's hard to put a forecast, but I look at bond yields, I take on board what the 30 years at, what the 10 years at, and the 2 year of the US, and if Fed Chair Powell, because there is no doubt, President Trump has got, his knee is on the neck of Fed Chair Powell, putting it bluntly, it's a manoeuvre, and he either taps out or he drops rates. I don't know how it plays, but it's getting to that point now that there's some action that's got to happen over the next 6 or so weeks. We had better than expected inflation numbers at 2.4. You had strong NFP numbers, and I don't know how that's going to roll forward, but at the present time, he wants to see action by the Fed.
Yeah,
he's not backing down.
And he gets his way, and he will get his way.
You're the president.
Yeah, irregardless of what
we think
financial markets do in response.
That's right. We're just observers, and we're just taking opportunity with the price movement to see where opportunity is, and that's what you guys do, and that's what we do. We supply that facility for people to take on board and say, yes, I want to trade that market, and I'm looking at fair value and access to a global market.
So speaking of access to a global market, let's talk oil. Yeah. One-way traffic.
I think it's going a lot further south than here. I feel as though that there's pressure again on MBS. That's Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi. I think that they're playing a very strategic part in all of this. I feel as though that the US is going to increase their production numbers significantly over the next probably 6 to 12 months, and that's going to add more supply to the market. And I feel as though I wouldn't be surprised a 50-something handle. That's not too far out. You're at 63.60 for WTI, 66.80 for Brent, and you've got to create a dollar. So if the dollar was to bounce a little bit, I think that'd force more downside for energy. And you can't take your mind off it because Russia's cut its 2025 oil export earnings estimate to 7.7%, or cut it by 7.7%. So they've downgraded everything. And that's really a consideration. You mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I don't hear it that often, demand destruction, but that's truly the essence of it, because that's where we're going.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So everything is live. How has crypto performed in this uncertain environment?
Well, you got to say, it's 87.6 for Bitcoin. It's been strongly bid up from that 78 handle. Still off 109, but it's still been pretty good. And there's volatility across XRP at $2.08. That seems to be a real attraction for traders. Open 24 hours, and it's, again, plenty of opportunity because of the big volatility spikes. So people are still focused on it, and they're still taking huge advantage of it. And there seems to be, everyone you talk to, regardless if they're 15 to 75, everyone knows about it and everyone knows how to access it. It's not as though we're a couple of years ago and you're scratching your head, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Now we're all across it, and that's where you've either got, central bank digital currencies, or you've got the likes of Bitcoin and XRP and, all the other ones that come into that basket.
All right. Well, Peter, we've covered the charts.
We have, Nadine.
Thank you for joining us. Nice to see you from trading.com, the CEO here in Australia. All right. Let's just take a bit of a break. We will return with some macroeconomic analysis next.
The Trade was brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au.